No organization is responsible for the content of this video. All errors and omissions are the sole responsibility of myself, David Iverson. This video must not be your only source of information. Please attend official USSA educational opportunities. Please download official USSA educational materials.
Okay, and so I think I'm just going to read through this and not give a lot of examples. There's some more examples down here, but this is what you need to be aware of. First off, the minimum penalty for a non-FIS USSA scored race is 15. If the calculated penalty is lower than 15, the applied penalty shall be 15. So that's pretty straightforward, cut and dry. No matter what you calculate the penalty to be, the minimum penalty for a USSA race is 15. So if you have the best racers in the world come to your USSA event and they score a 3 for the penalty, you must apply a penalty of 15. That is the minimum, period. And that has changed over the past couple of years, but looks pretty solid right now while I'm making this video. Okay. B, if the minimum vertical drop requirement is met, then the minimum time requirement does not apply. So let's skip down. If your mountain is running a slalom and your vertical drop is over 100 meters, don't worry about it. Don't worry about this video. If you're running a GS and the vertical drop on your hill is over 250 meters, don't worry about this video. If you're running a Super G and the vertical drop is over 300 meters, don't worry about this video. If you're running a downhill over 400 meters, don't worry about this video. Except, of course, for all those cases, if your minimum penalty is less than, if your penalty is less than 15, you have to apply 15. Alright. So B, if you're above these, don't worry about it. If you're below these, you got to worry about it. Okay. C, if the minimum vertical drop requirement is not met, then the greater of the calculated or minimum penalty of 30 shall be applied. So now that says that the absolute minimum penalty you can have if you don't meet the vertical drop is 30. So we're going to go into sort of calculating other things, but basically what it says is if you're under these, 400 for downhill, 100 for slalom, 250 for GS, 300 for Super G, and you go through the penalty calculation procedure and you come up with a number less than 30, then 30 is your minimum penalty. If you're over these numbers, 15 is your minimum penalty. If you're under these numbers, 30 is your minimum penalty. Okay. If the minimum vertical drop requirement is not met, but the minimum time requirement is, then the greater or the calculated of the minimum time penalty shall be applied. So again, if you've gone through, you calculate out and you get a penalty and it's over 30, then you have to ask yourself, what was the time for the run? Okay? So the minimum time for a downhill is 60 seconds. For a slalom, it's 50 seconds for the combined of 2 runs. GS, 50 seconds for the combined of 2 runs. Super G, 40 seconds for 1 run. So you can have like a sprint downhill where you do like 31 seconds and 31 seconds. And that's going to be the winner's time. So that is the minimum time, so that would be the winner's time. So basically in a slalom, if you have one run is 26 seconds and another run is 25 seconds, your combined time for the winner is 51 seconds, and so then you don't have to worry, you don't have to go beyond. Then the previous rules that I just talked about apply. So if you're above the alternative minimum times, then your calculated penalty is what it is, as long as it's above 30. If it's below 30, you've got to apply 30. Okay. Now, suppose the minimum vertical drop requirement and the minimum time requirements are not met, then the greater of the penalty plus the additional penalty or the minimum penalty shall be applied. Okay. What does that mean? Well, the minimum penalty is still 30. And the minimum penalty is still 30. And if you add the additional penalty on, then if you add the additional penalty on and you're still below 30, you have to apply 30. Now, if you add the additional penalty on and you're above 30, then that's what it is. But if you do not meet the minimum drop requirement and the minimum time requirement, then you must add this. You absolutely must add this. So I think I'm going to walk through, this is really sort of a tree, and so I'm going to walk through a tree for you. So I'm going to make a tree that demonstrates how to apply these vertical minimum drop, minimum time, and minimum penalty rules. Okay. So we're going to assume a USSA GS. So we're running GS as an example, and there's stuff over there for slalom, Super G, and downhill. So we're going to start with a USSA GS. Okay. So now, first off, your vert is greater than 250 meters. Because 250 meters is the minimum vertical listed in the comp guide. So we're going to assume that you're over that. Now you're going to suppose your calculated penalty is greater than 15. Let's say, as an example, 53.18. Then the applied penalty is going to be 53.18. So this is just normal, normal, normal. You're over the minimum vertical, so the time doesn't apply. Your calculated penalty is 53.18. It's over the minimum, so you apply 53.18. Then next scenario. Your calculated penalty is less than 15, say for an example 12.12. So your applied penalty is the minimum, which is 15. That's if you're over 250 meters. Now we're going to go now we have your vertical is less than 250 meters. So now one rule kicks in, but so we're going to go up and we're going to say time is greater than 50 seconds. So is your minimum time, so your combined time for both runs of the winner of your race, is it greater than 50 seconds? Okay, if it is, then we will go If your calculated penalty in this case is greater than 30, say 53.18, then you apply 53.18. Now your calculated penalty is less than 30, say for an example 12.12, then you apply 30.00. So this is if your vertical is less than 250 meters, but your winner's combined time is greater than 50 seconds, now your minimum penalty is 30. Just follow the flow chart. Last thing I got is now if your time is less than 50 seconds, well, then you must add 17. Okay, so your vertical drop is less than 250, your time is less than 50 seconds, you calculate a penalty of 53.18, you must add 17 to bring that up to 70.8. Now, final, you're less than 250 meters for a GS, you're less than 50 seconds for the GS, you must add 17, your calculated penalty is 12.12, you add 17 to get to 29.12, but the minimum penalty is 30, so you must apply 30. Okay, there are the rules right there in spreadsheet, in a tree form.